What's up, wrestling fans? Yes, my nose is still red. Man, today's wrestling topics are dead. There's like just about nothing really good to talk about. But I've got some questions from you guys, from the patrons on patreon.com. And so we're going to get to those things. Plus, there's some news out there. Kimberly deleted her Twitter account after getting the guy fired. She wanted that guy Carter fired from WWE. She got her way. She left Twitter. Maybe he, who knows what their story is. Hopefully he's going to go to jail soon for the things that she says he did to her. But, time will tell on that. I mean, probably should go to jail, I suppose. But Matt Hardy, news on Matt Hardy about his relationship with Triple H, I just don't care. I see that trending everywhere. I just don't know. Like, dude, that's how scarce the news is right now. Shinjiro Otani was injured over the weekend. This is a very scary thing. I don't know that much about him, but I mean, I know of him, and I've heard of him, and I've seen him a couple of times, but I really don't know that much. But I know that he's badly injured, and he doesn't have movement of his extremities right now. So that's something just to say. I'm sure the wrestling community is thinking about him in hopes that he. Some kind of miracle happens or something comes, the doctors are able to figure something out with what's going on with him. I haven't seen an update yet, but that's been really sad news that I've seen over the internet today. But questions-wise, I threw out some questions on Twitter, so we're gonna hit those in a second. This might be some things that you guys are interested in as well. And if you have questions for me that I can answer tomorrow on tomorrow's video, please drop them in the comments below on this video. But again, I do want to thank the patrons, and I will do that in a second. But let me just get to the comments here before I start showing you some stuff I found on Twitter today that's interesting about the wrestling world. The Insane Artist said, do you think New Jack was championship material, and could he have won the EC title back in the day? Yeah, I think that in ECW, New Jack could have became a champion. I don't think he really should have been. I always felt New Jack was such an outsider. Even in EC, did I say EC3? Even in ECW, the guy was so crazy and an outsider that it almost added to his, persona of we don't know what this guy's going to do by having him be the way he was. If he'd won championships, he would almost appear too legitimate in a way. But, I mean, is the guy deserving of being a champion? Probably, yeah. But I mean, and could he have been? Of course. But why do I have two mics? I'll never know. But I don't think that for his persona and what he was doing, no championship titles made him seem that much more dangerous. Almost the feeling of like, for anybody who was a smart mark at the time in the 90s, right? To feel like, well, they would never put a belt on him. He's too dangerous. You don't know what he's going to do. He could take the belt. I mean, all those sort of things. So they kind of added to his mystique. So rest in peace to New Jack, though. Still kind of crazy that he's not here. But it feels that way about everybody who has been passing away over the last 3 years, especially with, getting up there in age myself now. Pedwell on Twitter said, who will dethrone Roman? I told you this months ago that I believed that I wanted it to be Cody Rhodes. I wanted him to come in the WWE, get a following, become the new Triple H, essentially. I've loved what Cody Rhodes does. He's got a great theme, great entrance, great everything. But that will depend on how much the WWE Universe ends up cheering for him and how well he's booked going forward. I've been wrong about these things before, such as Matt Hardy coming to the WWE, Matt Hardy's Woken gimmick, and then Matt Hardy's broken gimmick going in AEW. They couldn't recreate the 2016 magic of TNA Impact Wrestling. So I would say Cody Rhodes. I think WWE wants Braun Breaker to be that guy. So that right there puts Braun Breaker really at the top. The fans would have to turn on Braun Breaker, or the fans would have to really not accept him at all. For them to skew, I think, from Braun Breaker. Cody Rhodes would have to be undeniably undeniable in order to be in that category. I think Cody is going to face Roman and lose. And then Cody will go on to have a lot of success, but he won't beat Roman right away. And that will leave you with Braun Breaker eventually to show up, and maybe he'll be the guy. But if he's not, then Cody can still come around again. That's my opinion and how I would do it. And I know that I'm saying make Cody Rhodes that guy, but that doesn't mean I would rule out Braun Breaker. I would attempt to make Braun Breaker a top guy and attempt to keep Cody Rhodes on top as well. And I would see who the people embrace and see if we have, something going there. And if we do have somebody that's equal or bigger than Roman seeming, now you know who's going to beat him. But if you don't get there and you don't get that, well, then maybe nobody will beat him at that point. Pedwell, by the way, this podcast is going to continue on Patreon, so when this video ends, this podcast will continue in a bonus part where I will talk about Halo Episode 3, Picard, I believe, and maybe some other things as well. So look for that up on Patreon. Who will be the next to defect to AEW, WWE? This is the biggest question. This is the most common question I've gotten from a million different people. And that's an exaggeration, obviously, but the bottom line is I keep seeing the question come up over and over and over again, even after I answer it. So I'm assuming people missed my previous videos. And obviously, I know you guys can't watch all 7 hours of a stream, so if I mention it 3 hours into the stream, you didn't hear it. I get it. So I don't mind repeating things over and over again. And I don't mind break because things change too, and I come up with other things in my mind. But I really do think it's the biggest name that's going to come from AEW. Does feel like it's going to be potentially MJF, because I think MJF is going into business for himself, and I know that it might be part of the storyline as well. That's fine. I get it. I think it's working. I think it's working for him. It's working for Tony, but it's also going to work against Tony eventually because you know what? In the end, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. Because if WWE says, hey, man, let's bring that guy over for $500,000. Hey, let's bring that guy over for $1 million. You know what I mean? Tony Khan is going to pay MJF over $1 million. You think so? We're going to find out, I bet, based on what's going on, if they like him. I don't know. I mean, he won't have that music that's so good in AEW. I mean, he's got kind of a generic theme, but it just works so well for him. I wonder how WWE could create it. I almost look at MJF as like EC3. WWE couldn't handle EC3 the proper way, and I don't think they're going to handle MJF the proper way. So, unfortunately, I think MJF would be screwed going to WWE, but that's me, unless they understand what they're getting and they're going to utilize him the correct way. They're going to utilize him like the $1 Million Man or like something like that, and Vince goes, you remind me of the $1 Million Man or Ted DiBiase or Rick Model Martel or people like that. Obviously, he can speak much better than Rick, but there's so many more layers to MJF. So will WWE understand his value? But, yeah, he could be the next one to go. And Cody could understand his value, so he's got an advocate there. Cody Rhodes, who can advocate for MJF of, listen, Vince, take a look at some of these videos of this guy. And then Vince can say, well, he can speak damn well. He's got a good voice. He can speak really well. He's got a good, whatever the fuck else. He's got that. I'm getting called right now, so let me just see. But, the bottom line is, Vince taking a look at some of the footage of MJF, But, see, Vince has had people kind of like this. My fear is that Vince will see MJF as, we had a guy like this guy. His name was Matt Stryker. We had, I'm worried that Vince would see MJF as just the generic heel, and then he would turn him into a Santino character or something like that, because you guys have seen how MJF comes off when he's treated with comedy. You saw that with Jericho. Now, I liked what Jericho did with MJF, but there was a lot of people who criticized that and said Jericho held MJF back by doing all these comedy skits with him. And I can understand that. MJF was operating at about a 7 out of 10 at that time. But when MJF gets real serious and angry and mean, he operates at about an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. He operates at a phenomenal level when he gets dead serious, mean, and psychotic almost. And he turns it way on. But with, Chris Jericho, it was kind of like a circus sideshow comedy act, Three Stooges. And it felt like he brought MJF down a bit. And would that happen if he goes to WWE? So those are my concerns with MJF and that stuff, with him going to WWE. Will he be able to be the MJF that we all know that he can be? And even when he sort of strayed from the MJF that we know he can be, and did a little bit of comedy with Chris Jericho, that was criticized. Although I don't mind it myself. I like Jericho and his chemistry with MJF, but there's definitely another level of MJF. He was kind of doing the Police Academy bad guy villain stuff with Jericho, whereas recently with CM Punk you really get into the serious darkness of it all. Is Braun Breaker over, says Pedwell. I think Braun Breaker has a buzz about him similar to Hook, but I think Hook has been built up a lot as well. But will the mainstream group of fans believe it, believe the hype? I don't know. Right now, they've created a buzz that we're all aware of. So I would argue that there's a buzz that we're all aware of. But do we have, but is he over? I don't think so. I think he's got a smattering of support, though. He's got some supporters. He's got the buzz rolling. So I will say that the snowball is rolling. The snowball is starting to roll down the hill and is starting to acquire other snow and turning into the first layer of around Snowman's bottom, that's good. It's not a direct no or a maybe or whatever. He is building momentum a little bit, but will he build that momentum the correct way? I don't know. So we have other questions here. By the way, the person who leaves a super thanks down below, I will pin you to the top of this video, or whoever is the top super thanks person down below and wants to sponsor and support these videos in a video like this one. You guys are saving the channel. Thank you for that. And we got more here. And the next is we got stuff on Pedwell, left me other great things. Strowman, is he the new Ryback? And Tammy Cinch, Sonny, we're going to talk about her. Brock Lesnar's next feud and things like that. There's even more. I want to thank you to Brian Jardine, who upped his Patreon pledge to $32.60 per month. The guy literally converted to see if he could get to $25 US. I think that's why he did this. And he brought it up to $32.60, which is over the $25 producer mark. So, Brian, thank you for being a $25 producer, but now a $32 per month guy. Also, Red Raven, going from the $1 spot to the $5 spot. Thank you. And Don Edward to the VIP spot. And Skittles for all the support on Patreon. Thank you guys for upping your pledges on patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. Download the Patreon app now, and then you'll get to it. Let's see. We got getting back to the questions because there are so many. Strowman, the new Ryback, maybe. I mean, Strowman's a weird dude, I made a joke earlier to somebody about, how, they wouldn't get along with him because he's just so whacked out of his mind. Braun Strowman loves missiles, guns, war, killing animals, and he also loves George Bush. So, I think Braun Strowman is calling out AEW, saying Tony Khan sucks and all these things. He just really hates AEW. Braun Strowman's a weird guy. I'm gonna tell you right now. Yo, what's up, George? I like George Bush. I like missiles. I like guns. I like George Bush. You could probably get away with cradling a couple of missiles, shooting a couple of guns. That's not bad to me. I have no problem with that. I mean, the missile one, that's a bit weird. Holding the missile, that's a little strange. But there's nothing worse than the picture with George Bush. You know what I mean? Taking a picture with a war criminal liar, a sick person who enacted the Patriot Act when you're supposed to be so patriotic. This is the biggest, contradiction ever. I thought you loved America, but I guess you don't because you're hugging the guy who helped get the Patriot Act passed to take away all our freedoms. So Braun Strowman is a weird guy. Ryback, his career is dead. Ryback is dead. The guy spends most time talking about his bots or his botted fucking TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. He's a weird person. Fuck Ryback. I think Braun Strowman is a way better person than Ryback, I think. I think. But maybe not. Maybe Ryback's better. I don't know. But me and Ryback would have to have a conversation and do a podcast to figure that out. But Ryback would never do that because he's a coward. But top 10 crimes committed by Tammy Sitch. I mean, the only one matters is the one where they got somebody killed recently. So, put Sonny in jail. Now, the Usos have also drunk and driven 1 million times. The Jeff Hardy has done it 1 million times, but nobody cares until you actually kill someone. Although Sonny didn't really kill someone, she hit somebody else and then they killed someone, but she's responsible for it. because it's like a side manslaughter type of thing. So unless you guys are going to bury the Jeff Hardy, and you're not going to bury the Uso, they could do the same thing. But I guess they've only done it 3 or 4 times, and Sonny's done it 10 times. So I guess, pick and choose your righteousness. But yeah, Sonny is a weird fuck who needs to go to jail. She should have been in a psych ward years ago to protect her. You could argue that she also got Chris Candido killed as well, if you really want to get into it. She mind-fucked him until he fucking went overboard over the cliff. So, you could argue that she killed Chris Candido as well. She's obviously a psychotic person and, needs to go away in some form or another. Who is Brock Lesnar's next feud? I really don't care, but I will say this. Why not put him against Braun Breaker? Why not have Braun Breaker attack Brock Lesnar somehow? Braun Breaker beats Brock Lesnar on Raw or SmackDown in some way by luck or by, a roll-up of some kind, Or maybe when the referee isn't looking, he kicks him in the throat, punches him in the balls, and then rolls him up. And then Lesnar can cut a promo that says, it seems like the only time anybody can ever beat Brock Lesnar is when they cripple his man parts. You know what I mean? So why don't you be a man and face me in a one-on-one match, and I'll make sure to bring my cup, that sort of thing. Maybe you could have Braun Breaker step in the ring with Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar beats Braun Breaker, but Braun Breaker goes above and beyond, and that match makes him or whatever sort of thing. So maybe go right up, get it going. Get Braun Breaker in the ring with Brock Lesnar and have Braun Breaker go 10 minutes to 12 minutes with Lesnar, and Braun Breaker's bleeding and he's messed up. I would have him bleed and be messed up, and he fights back and he almost beats Brock Lesnar, and but he doesn't. He gets F5'd and he kicks out of that. They go to the outside, maybe. He gets F5'd on the steps. I don't know why, but I have this obsession with seeing somebody F5'd on steps, and I don't know why that is, but I have it. And then have Gable Stevenson come out. No, I'm just kidding. Don't have Gable Stevenson do anything. Is Gable Stevenson charismatic? I don't think he quite has it yet. He's got something there, maybe. But right now, he just feels like a video game athlete or something. I feel like he plays a lot of video games and he's a kid. So I don't think he's there yet, but he could be. You never know. I mean, again, Kurt Angle looked like a goof in the very, very beginning. Even Mark Henry looked a little weird in the beginning. And Gable Stevenson is smaller, I think, than those two guys. Maybe not Kurt, but Kurt was more put together at the time, it felt like. So that's about it, man. Amanda asks, how do you feel about the Imperium splitting up Marcel's names change? I don't really care. Here's how I feel about it. Vince sees, Gunther is the guy, and the other guys in Imperium, if they're even there, will simply just be the manager guys, manager people, and that's really about it. That's really about it. Thank you guys, everybody who asked questions here, because it really triggered a lot of stuff in my head to talk about. So Insane Artist, Pedwell, and Amanda, thank you on Twitter. And John on Patreon had similar ones, so I just got them all off Twitter. Keep asking away, guys. If you guys could do me a favor and tombstone that like button so hard I get a tombstone in my pants. That's weird. I don't know. But I'm Joe Cronin. This is Joe Cronin Show. I hope you guys subscribe if you're brand new. I hope I earned your sub if you're new. And I hope you guys watch me live tomorrow night after Monday Night Raw. I'll be live right here on the Joe Cronin Show live with all you guys. So be here tomorrow night, Monday night for that. And here's some other videos popping up if you want to keep watching me. Binge watch me right now. And the person that drops a super thanks down below and supports this video, if you like this type of video, I will pin you to the top of this comment section so everybody sees your comment. Thank you for being here. I'll see you guys in the next video. Otherwise, click on these videos and keep watching, keep listening.